What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever been curious about the world of ethical hacking or cybersecurity, you've probably heard of Kali Linux. It's like the Swiss Army knife for security professionals, packed with all the tools you need to poke, prod, and test pretty much anything connected to a network. But here's the thing, when you first boot it up, the sheer number of tools can be, well, overwhelming. Like, seriously, where do you even begin? That's exactly why we're making this video. We're going to cut through the noise and give you the absolute must-know top 10 essential tools in Kali Linux that every beginner should get their hands on as we head into 2025. Before we dive in, do me a solid and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of our future content. All right, enough talk. Let's get this thing started. All right, kicking off our list at number 1, we have the legendary Nmap, which stands for Network Mapper. If you're going to be a hacker, ethical or otherwise, you need to know what you're up against. Think of yourself as a general planning an attack. What's the first thing you need? A map of the terrain. That is exactly what Nmap provides for a digital network. It's your eyes and ears, allowing you to see what devices are connected to a network, what services they're running, what operating systems they're on, and even what kind of firewalls might be in place. Nmap is incredibly powerful, but also surprisingly easy to get started with. A simple command can give you a list of all the live hosts on your local network. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly you can see your router, your phone, your smart TV, and any other device that's connected. But it doesn't stop there. Once you've found the host, Nmap can perform what's called a port scan. Every service running on a device, like a web server or an email server, listens on a specific port. Nmap can check which of these ports are open, giving you a list of potential entry points. Coming in at number 2 is the beast, the legend, the Metasploit framework. If Nmap is your map, Metasploit is your entire arsenal. This isn't just one tool, it's a massive platform, a collection of exploits, payloads, and auxiliary modules that is arguably the most famous penetration testing tool in the world. It was created to make a hacker's life easier by automating complex, repetitive tasks involved in exploiting vulnerabilities. Think of it as a point-and-click adventure for taking over systems, though it's way more powerful than that. The core of Metasploit is its vast, constantly updated database of exploits. An exploit is a piece of code that takes advantage of a specific bug or vulnerability to gain unauthorized access. Let's say Nmap found a server running an old, outdated version of a web service. You could search the Metasploit database for an exploit specifically targeting that version. With a few commands, you can load the exploit, configure it with your target's IP address, and launch the attack. But gaining access is only half the battle. What do you do once you're in? That's where payloads come in. The most famous of these is MeterPreter, a super advanced payload that gives you a powerful command shell on the victim's machine. With MeterPreter, you can browse their file system, take screenshots, log keystrokes, and pivot to attack other machines on the network. It's an incredibly powerful backdoor that gives you deep control. Next up at number 3, we have Wireshark. If you've ever wanted to see the raw, unfiltered data flowing across your network, this is the tool for you. Wireshark is a network protocol analyzer, which is a fancy way of saying it's a packet sniffer. It captures all the network traffic going in and out of your computer and displays it in a readable format. Imagine being able to tap into the internet connection itself and read all the mail being sent back and forth. That's the power of Wireshark. Why is this so important for a beginner? Because it demystifies the internet. We talk about protocols like HTTP, DNS, and TCP, but with Wireshark, you can actually see them in action. You can see the DNS request your computer sends when you type in a website address, and you can see the DNS server's reply. From a security perspective, Wireshark is indispensable for troubleshooting and analysis. Is your data being sent in plain text instead of being encrypted? You'll see the actual usernames, passwords, or messages right there in the packet details. The interface can look like a wall of text and numbers at first, but Wireshark has powerful filtering capabilities. You can filter by IP address, protocol, or even specific keywords within the packets. Learning to use Wireshark is like learning to read the language of the internet itself. At number 4, we have a tool with a name that, honestly, perfectly describes its function: Hydra. In Greek mythology, the Hydra was this many-headed serpent. In the world of hacking, though, Hydra is a tool that tries many passwords. It's a parallelized login cracker, which means it can launch incredibly fast, brute force, and dictionary attacks against a huge variety of network services. If there's a login form, chances are Hydra can try to break it. So, what's a brute force attack? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. Trying every possible combination of characters until you find the right password. This can take forever, honestly. A much more efficient method is a dictionary attack, where you use a pre-made list of common passwords, a dictionary or word list, and try each one. This is where Hydra really shines. You can point it at a login service like SSH, FTP, or a web login page, give it a username and a password list, and it will rapidly fire off login attempts until it finds a match. This is a crucial tool for beginners to understand because it highlights the single biggest weakness in almost any security system: weak passwords. We all know we shouldn't use password 123 or 123456, but people still do. Running Hydra against a test system and seeing it crack a weak password in seconds is a powerful lesson in password hygiene. It demonstrates in a very practical way why password complexity and length are so important. It's the difference between a lock that can be picked in 5 seconds and one that would take centuries to break. Moving up the stack to web applications, at number 5 we have Burp Suite, specifically the Community Edition, which is free and comes pre-installed in Kali. If you're at all interested in web application security, and you really should be since that's where a huge number of vulnerabilities are found, Burp Suite is your new best friend. At its core, Burp Suite is an intercepting proxy. This means it sits between your web browser and the internet, capturing every single request your browser sends and every response the server sends back. Why is this so powerful? Well, it's because it lets you inspect and manipulate that traffic in real time. When you fill out a form on a website and click submit, your browser sends an HTTP request with that data to the server. With Burp Suite, you can pause that request before it leaves your computer. You can see exactly how the data is structured, and more importantly, you can change it. You could change the price of an item in a shopping cart or try to access another user's account by changing an ID number. The repeater lets you modify and resend that single request over and over again, observing how the server's response changes each time. This is the fundamental process of probing for web vulnerabilities like SQL injection or cross-site scripting, also known as XSS. Learning to use Burp Suite is honestly like gaining a superpower. Let's shift our focus from the web to the airwaves. At number 6, we have Reconnaissance. Now, this isn't just a single tool, but a whole suite of tools designed for one purpose: auditing and attacking Wi-Fi networks. In a world where wireless networks are everywhere, from coffee shops to corporate offices, knowing how to test their security is a critical skill. Reconnaissance is the industry-standard toolkit for doing just that, covering everything from monitoring traffic to cracking passwords. The process usually starts with a tool from the suite called Dump-Ang. This tool puts your Wi-Fi card into monitor mode, which allows it to listen to all the Wi-Fi traffic in the air around you, not just the traffic for the network you're connected to. Once you've identified a target network, the goal is often to capture a handshake. When a device connects to a WPA or WPA2 protected network, it performs a 4-way handshake to authenticate. Dump-Ang can capture this handshake. This captured file doesn't contain the password itself, but it contains a hashed version of it. This is where the main tool, Reconnaissance, comes into play. You can use it to launch a dictionary attack against the captured handshake file. Reconnaissance will take a word list of potential passwords, hash each one, and compare it to the hash in the captured file. If it finds a match, congratulations, you've just cracked the Wi-Fi password. This process really demonstrates the importance of using a strong, long, and complex Wi-Fi password. A simple password can be cracked in minutes or hours, while a strong one could take years. The Reconnaissance suite is essential for any pen tester tasked with evaluating the security of a wireless infrastructure. At number 7, we have another legendary password cracker, John the Ripper, often just called John. While Hydra is focused on cracking passwords for live online services, John is designed for offline cracking. This means you use it on password hashes that you've already obtained. For example, you might have dumped the password hashes from a Linux systems /etc/shadow file or from a database breach. John the Ripper is incredibly flexible and intelligent. One of its most powerful features is its ability to auto-detect the hash type. There are dozens of different hashing algorithms out there, MD5, SHA-1, bcrypt, and so on. And John can often figure out which one it's looking at without you having to specify it. Like Hydra, John can perform dictionary attacks using word lists. However, it also has a very powerful mangling feature. It can take a word from a dictionary, like password, and apply common mutations to it. It will try password P at symbol SSWORD, password 123, password 2025, and thousands of other variations. This dramatically increases the chances of cracking passwords that are slight variations of common words, which is a very common user behavior. It's a much smarter way to crack than a simple dictionary attack. Beyond dictionary attacks, John also supports a pure brute force mode, trying every possible character combination, which is useful for short passwords. Learning to use John the Ripper teaches you a crucial lesson about password storage. It demonstrates why it's so important for systems to use salted hashes and strong, slow hashing algorithms like bcrypt. When you see how quickly John can tear through poorly protected passwords, you'll never look at a login form the same way again. Coming in at number 8 is Nikto. While Burp Suite is for deep manual inspection of a single web application, Nikto is an automated web server scanner. Its job is to perform a rapid, comprehensive check of a web server for thousands of known security issues. It's kind of like having a security consultant who can instantly check a server for all the most common and easy to find problems. So what kind of things does Nikto look for? Well, a whole lot. It checks for outdated server software versions. For example, it might report that the server is running a version of Apache or Nginx with known public vulnerabilities. This is low-hanging fruit for an attacker. It also scans for dangerous files or scripts that might have been left behind by developers, like configuration files, backup files, or admin panels that aren't properly protected. Finding a file named config.php.back can sometimes be a goldmine. Nikto operates by sending a huge number of HTTP requests to the target server, each one checking for a specific issue from its database. It looks for specific file paths, checks for certain HTTP headers that might indicate a vulnerability, and performs other simple tests. The output is a detailed report of everything it found, categorized by severity. For a beginner, this report is a fantastic learning tool as it points you directly to potential weaknesses that you can then investigate further. It's important to understand that Nikto is a loud scanner. It generates a lot of traffic and is easily detectable by firewalls and intrusion detection systems. At number 9, we have a tool that is an absolute game changer for database security testing, SQL Map. SQL injection is one of the most common and most devastating web application vulnerabilities. It occurs when an attacker can inject their own SQL database commands into a web application's queries, allowing them to potentially read, modify, or delete the entire database. Finding and exploiting these flaws manually can be a complex and tedious process. SQL Map automates almost the entire thing. SQL Map is a command line tool that you can point at a vulnerable web page parameter. For example, if a URL looks like http:/testsite.com products.php ID =1, SQL Map can take that URL and automatically test the ID parameter for SQL injection vulnerabilities. It uses a wide range of advanced techniques to detect the vulnerability, identify the backend database type, like MySQL, PostgreSQL, or Microsoft SQL Server, and then exploit it. Once SQL Map confirms a vulnerability, it becomes your interface to the database. You don't even need to know much SQL yourself. You can use simple SQL Map commands to list all the databases, dump the tables from a specific database, and even extract all the data from a table. It can pull down usernames, passwords, credit card numbers, whatever is stored in the database. It can even, in some cases, escalate its privileges to get a command shell on the underlying operating system. For a beginner, SQL Map is an incredible way to understand the sheer impact of an SQL injection flaw. It abstracts away the complexity of the exploit, allowing you to see the direct result. Complete database compromise. It's a powerful weapon and one that must be used responsibly. Last but certainly not least, at number 10, we have the Social Engineer Toolkit, or SET. So far, we've focused on technical tools that attack software and hardware vulnerabilities. But what is often the weakest link in any security chain? The human. SET is a framework designed specifically to perform attacks against the human element. It was created by the founder of TrustedSec, Dave Kennedy, and it's an incredible tool for simulating phishing, credential harvesting, and other social engineering attacks. SET provides a menu-driven interface that makes it incredibly easy to launch sophisticated attacks. For example, one of its most popular features is the website credential harvester. You can tell SET to clone a real website, like the login page for Gmail, Facebook, or your company's webmail. SET will create a perfect pixel-for-pixel copy of that site and host it on your Kali machine. You then send a link to your target, perhaps in a convincing phishing email. When the target clicks the link, they see what looks like the legitimate login page. They enter their username and password and click login. That information is sent directly to your set console, and the victim is then redirected to the real website, often without ever realizing they've been compromised. It's a shockingly effective technique, and SET makes it almost trivial to execute. For a beginner, using SET is eye-opening. It moves beyond the purely technical and forces you to think about psychology, persuasion, and trust. Understanding how these attacks work is the first step to defending against them. And that's a wrap. That was our top 10 list of the most essential hacking tools for beginners in Kali Linux for 2025. From mapping networks with Nmap and cracking passwords with John, to exploiting web apps with Burp Suite and SQL Map, these tools form the bedrock of a solid cybersecurity skill set. Getting hands-on experience with them is the best way to move from theory to practice. So a huge thank you for sticking with us through this deep dive. I hope you found it informative, and more importantly, I hope it got you excited to learn more. Now for the super important disclaimer, with great power comes great responsibility. Every tool we discuss today is extremely powerful and can be used for illegal and harmful activities. This video and this channel are for educational purposes only. You should only ever use these tools on networks and systems that you own or for which you have explicit written permission to test. Using them illegally can have severe consequences, so please be one of the good guys. Use your skills to build, to protect, and to make the digital world a safer place. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What's your favorite tool from this list? Or is there another one you think should have made the cut? Also, let us know what topics you want us to cover in future videos. Your feedback is what drives this channel. If you learned something today, please smash that like button. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell so you can join us for the next one. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.